Welcome back to another episode of the Standish WoodStory. Today, I'm excited to announce that I finally got light. But not only did I get light, I also got power for my tool, which is what I've been waiting for, because now we can finally get to work. But in this episode, I'm going to share with you how I decided to lay out my tools in terms of power, how I planned for it, how it ended up going in terms of all the locations, and what I possibly might have done wrong in the process. So let's get started with this wood story. So this is my panel right here. And as you can see, I still have lots of power left on my panel, even after the electricians have been here and hooked everything up. Now, for all of these, they are actually ended up being on dedicated circuits. And that is a very nice thing to have. That was not the case at my old house because it just wasn't an option. But because there is so much power in this panel here, that was an option this time. So that's great because that means that I can actually run multiple tools at the same time. So I got them to add a whole bunch of light in my shop. And then I came out and turned it on. And I actually was not overly thrilled when I saw it. I have both of my garage door closed right now. And I'll actually close this door too, just so that you can get the full effect here. But this is the current light of my shop when it is daytime, and I do have two windows with all of them on. Now, two things to keep in mind. I am missing two lights right here, two lights right there. And nope, they did hook that one up. Okay, so I'm missing a total of 4 lights right now. So clearly this section and this section is going to be darker. So let's just disregard those for a second. So this would be more what the natural state of my shop would be like. And it's okay. However, I am the type of person who loves good working light, especially if I'm concentrating on something. I want there to be really good light. So they're actually not powerful enough for me. And it might just be because it's the same type of light. Sometimes it's nice to kind of mix and match different types. The reason that we did not add these two was because when they planned for it, they didn't realize that I have insulated garage doors. And I guess they're a little bit thicker than a standard garage door. So these types of lights does not fit above the garage. So that was kind of mistake number one. I didn't think about it and they didn't think about it. So it is what it is, but something that you can be thinking about when you're planning for your lighting and to keep in mind. What they are going to do is they're going to find some smaller, more narrow lights that will work underneath. So we will get some lights over there. So hopefully that will solve the lighting over there. But it still doesn't change the fact that my general lighting is not as bright as I would have liked it. So the solution that we've come up with is that, as you can see right now, I have most of my light kind of in the middle, but there's not necessarily a lot of light where my tools are, which is where I'm going to be working. So the shop came with these 4 panels of light, and they were okay, but just not on their own. They needed more. So what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to take these and we are going to use them again. We're going to repurpose them. And we're going to put them along the wall here so that I have really good working light when I am using my tools. And I'm hoping that will solve it. And that will be enough where I actually have good light again. I'm also starting to plan out my dust collection system because that also has to essentially live on this wall here. And my plan is I'm going to utilize my current system, which is just a 1 horsepower Ryobi that I have. And my plan right now is it's going to go here, and I just measured, and there should be enough space where I can hang it approximately in this area here. And then it's just going to be an easier height for when I need to change the bucket. So that's my plan there. But then what I want to do is I want to have some pipe that goes up and that goes over so that it can reach all of the other tools. And I also need to find a solution that will work with the table saw. So if it is here and if it's there, then maybe I can just have that one come here, or I'm going to have to get it to go across the ceiling and down. So that one I still have to figure out. As I mentioned earlier, I do plan to set up my dust collection system properly, which means running pipes overhead on the wall above the tools. But I did have my old dust system from my old shop, and in an effort to avoid delay and actually be able to use my tools and safety and all that good stuff, I did decide to set it up as is right now. So I hooked up my machine, and then I have these long hoses, and luckily they were just long enough where they actually stretch to all of the major machines, the ones without wheels. And then the ones with wheels, I'll still be able to use. I just have to roll them a little bit closer. So it works for now. I just learned something just by looking at it. This one is from my table saw, and this one is from my router. And I know that a table saw is a dedicated 20 amp outlet. And look at that. It's got that little T thing, but this one does not. So that apparently shows that that is a 20 amp outlet. Clever that you can actually see that just by looking at it when done proper. So learn something new. There you go. So if you have some of those, you'll know that it's also a 20 amp. So one of the biggest mistakes that I think I have made in this process of figuring out my lighting plan, I really took a lot of care in figuring out where my tools were going to go. That's where I did all the pre-work. I made sure that I knew my miter saw was going to go there, my saw was going to go there, and so on and so on. So I knew that I needed like a plug around the miter saw. But what I didn't consider is, what is the height of the actual outlet? And right now, you can see that they added this long bar where all the electrical is running within, conduit unit, or I'm not actually sure what the proper term for that is. So it's not easy to change because it's inside of this giant box here. And they did ask me, where do you want it? We had this old line that was running here, so to me it made sense just to have it right above. But above, meaning here, and now the actual outlets are coming out from here, and even here. And what I'm thinking is, this is really going to get in the way of any kind of cabinets that I was thinking I was going to do in the future. So that's a little bit of a problem. Now they are coming back, so it is possible that I can at least get them to move this one. I think this one will be okay. They're kind of on the same line, all of these ones. This one seems like it might be a little bit of a pain. So I might try to see if I can get them to move this over here instead, so that I at least have the ability to add cabinets from here upwards. So that's something to think about when you're laying out your shop for the very first time. Where is the power going to go location-wise? But what is the height actually going to be of it? Because what do you potentially need that space for in the future? And I briefly talked about this in my last video. This garage, this shop, is not insulated. And I believe my words were, I think this is going to bite me in the butt later on. And now I'm thinking it definitely will bite me in the butt. The fact that it's not insulated right now, and the fact that I've done all this work, electrical, all that kind of stuff, I am running out of options for actually insulating this in the future. And I already started kind of Googling solutions. And if you have a solution, please let me know in the comments below. Because right now, I'm looking at maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And I'm still sure this is some sort of a standard measurement. And maybe it's easy to pull this out from the wall. I have no idea. I'm not an electrician. I've never done this before. I use the tools, but I don't set it up. So it's all part of the learning process. But I think it's going to be tricky to insulate this wall now with the amount of work that I have done. So things that you want to do before you get started. But I was so eager to get it all up and running again that I didn't want to wait. And yes, it is definitely a mistake, but it's one I'm going to have to live with. And if there's one thing I know is every time there's a challenge, it's an opportunity for figuring out a solution. So it is what it is. In my last video, I mentioned that I started building a chicken coop. I have chickens from my previous property, and as of this point in time, I am still going back and forth between my two houses in order to take care of the chickens. And it's getting quite tiresome. So it is time to relocate my chickens to this property. And this time I had the idea, because we have a lot more land, we have 3.5 acres, to make a mobile chicken coop. So that's what I'm working on, and that's what this fun design is. So here's the progress that I made so far. The one side wall is up. I've made the opening for the actual chicken coop. That's where the drawstring door will go from. And then over here, this is the opening area. So this is not going to be here, it's going to be a latch. But you can open it up completely. And this can work in two ways. It's going to work as me being able to get in and get the eggs from the chickens. But it's also probably going to be a part of a way for them to get out when I want them to free range, when I want them to be outside of their cage. And then inside the actual coop, I have a roosting pole for them where they can go up at night because chickens likes to be high. And then the actual roosting boxes will be underneath, but I just use milk crates, so that's super simple. And then this right here will be the outside pen, and they'll have shade underneath, so they'll have a mix between shade and outside. And then the idea is it's going to be on wheels, and I'll be able to bring it around so that they can take advantage of all this awesome grass and bugs and all that kind of good stuff. So making progress, but I'm realizing I don't have enough wood, so I don't think I'll be able to finish off the other side today. But let's see what scraps I have and what I can come up with. If you followed any of my videos for a while, you'll know that I have a love-hate relationship with this guy because it seems to work for about 5 minutes and then it stops. And then all morning, I've been using it for my chicken coop and it's been doing great. And all of a sudden, it just stopped working again. And I checked the top of it and nothing was jammed. But now, I just took this off and look at this. This is like the sliding thing that goes back and forth. But look, inside, there's a freaking nail stuck. This was underneath the thingy-majigger, so I would have never seen that. So I am very, very hopeful that this is actually the reason that it's been causing me issues, because if it is the case, then that means I can fix it. So let's take a look. Gotta figure out how to get this out. I need some pliers or something. Okay, so now this thing actually moves again. That's good. Right, moment of truth. Let's see if it works. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Finally! Alright, so if you have the same thing, the Ryobi Airstrike, and it's having issues, then take off the freaking things up here, the actual pins, and move back the sliding portion inside. This is not enough to clear jam, apparently. I had no idea. Let's hope that this actually works from now on. Yeah! Nice. Nice. It's almost 5 o'clock and I need to stop now because I gotta go get my girls in a couple of minutes. But this is today's progress and it's not quite done yet. So I'll have to work on it again tomorrow. But I got a door in now. It just needs all the netting. And I got a little bit of the net on. I got my pulley system ready to go. And that's going to be this piece of acrylic that I have that is also going to let in light. So hopefully that works. And over here, I just added the latches. And I still need to add netting on that side as well. And we have a nice little window for them. So it's coming along. I also still need to figure out what I'm doing here at the top because this is just going to be a pooling point for water. Probably just add something to go along at the top, and I'll probably also just add a tarp. But that's what it looks like. Good day at work. I wish I was done, but so be it, so be it. Some things take longer than you want them to. I'm building a chicken coop, and I'm just putting on the final panel. But my dog decided to run in there right before I put on the final panel. And he hasn't quite realized yet that he's now trapped. Luckily, there's a door, but let's see when he figures it out. He likes it under there, though, because it's nice and shaded. The chicken coop is pretty much done, but I still have to figure out the actual mechanism for transporting it because I can't really add wheels to it because if I do, then that means it's going to be like sitting this much off the ground and then that would allow predators to get in. So ideally it's flat, and then when I need to move it, it has some sort of a system. So what we came up with right now, just temporarily, is I have like a flat dolly right there, and I just put piece of wood just so that it doesn't slide away when I'm actually dragging it. But these wheels that's on it, I don't know if you can see them, they're like super tiny. So obviously they don't work very well. So I need some bigger wheels. So that's step number one that I'm gonna have to get. But the second thing is we have this dolly, which is great because you can just kind of slide it under and drag it, but the wheels keep going in. So I don't necessarily think it's rated for this kind of weight. So I might need to rethink that as well, but maybe it's a similar system. I build it up and then I have something similar that can kind of flip over when needed. So it's a good start, but it's definitely not the final solution. So right now, I think I'm just gonna let this thing camp out right here. This is where it's gonna be right now. And then the idea is that every 2 to 3 days, we just move it so that the grass can recoup and so that the chickens can get some new grass. So let's see how that works out. Gotta get the chickens here now. So we just let the chickens in their new home. They're checking things out. They're super excited to be on grass again. They haven't been on grass for a long time. So that's nice. They haven't quite figured out how to get upstairs yet. Don't mind my very, very rustic staircase to get up right now. I don't have power in the shop right now, so this is the amount of scraps that I had left that I could use. But it's temporary. They're finishing the power in the shop tomorrow, so it should be good. And then once they've settled in, then they'll be able to go inside of this bigger ring that we have set up here. So they have tons of space afterwards. And the idea is that every day or every 2 days, this will get moved around the land so that they always have fresh grass and dirt to explore. So I think they're going to be really happy.